Hello, Matt, Nancy, everyone. Welcome. Matthew, excuse me. Good morning from Bali. Hi, Britt. Hello, J.E. Welcome. Yes. Hi, Amy. We have the wonderful cacophony of sound. Did y'all hear the cow? Hi, Dina. You don't hear the roosters. Okay, they're still here. Um, yes, so thank you, Britt. Is the video a little choppy? It looks a little choppy to me. Hi, Laura. Okay. Yeah, anyway, thank you. Let me know if something changes. Hi, Wendy. And interesting, there's this like yogashala across the river, across the creek over here. And it's not often, but a few times a week I'll hear them. It's like a breath work, like sound healing place. And like 2 minutes before this came on, I can hear the beautiful music. It's kind of far off. I would be surprised if anyone can hear it, but it's a nice synchronicity. Thank you, Dina. Thank you so much. So, y'all know I like to celebrate dates. Um, and I think my favorite part of that, and likely tell me if you're the same, is the reflection that, on the journey, if it's 30 days or 30 years or anything in between. So, yeah, I'm gathering photos to make like a post on my social media about my Bali-versary. And yeah, it's just such an experience. Um, excuse me. To think about, 10 years ago today, I landed here. And I want to talk about that landing because it was a shit show. And also, it was part of the process. Um, and I was meditating this morning, and the thought came into my head that, and I was meditating 10 years ago. I started my daily meditation practice 10 years ago. So I've been meditating pretty much daily for 10 years, which is an achievement in and of itself. And I found this app 10 years ago. Um, but I was thinking, like, wow, my meditations 10 years ago versus now. Not that my mind, my mind is still minding, my mind is still noisy, and I still, you know, um, see myself identified with thinking in mind as I'm in my meditation. The mind can still be super fucking loud, and I can still get irritated and, judge my meditation and all of that. And also, I noticed the thoughts I had about that experience are, I imagine, quite different than they were 10 years ago. So even in just seeing the journey of the person I have become over this journey, of which Bali is a big part. Life is lifing, life will always be lifing. And for me, for my, whatever, if it's happenstance, if it's synchronicity, if it's karma, if it's me creating it and attracting it and manifesting it, whatever it is, like Bali has been a big part of my life and my journey since I landed here 10 years ago. So, I was just noticing I'm not the same person. I mean, the essence of who I am is the same, yes, as it is for all of us, because that awareness, that beingness, that sense of that infinite part of us, that I am presence that is always there, is still always there, and that hasn't changed. But this incarnation of that, this personality, of course, the body, 10 years older. But just, I was noticing the thoughts in my meditation being different, that when I noticed I was identified with thoughts, when I had a noticing and an awareness of the judgment, and just the way that I'm able to work with myself and show up for myself, it wasn't there in this way 10 years ago. So that was a nice revelation to have this morning. And, literally on this journey of awakening and evolving and becoming, living into our potential, creating ourselves, we become different people, like same but different is like a saying in Asia, I think. So although, yes, I'm Natalie, yes, there's many aspects to who I am that are similar, the same. Also, I am very different in my mindset, in my thoughts. And that's what we've come here for. Y'all that follow me know I'm, getting ready for the launch of my 8-week money mindset program to overcome under-earning and create abundance, financial and otherwise. And so I'm deeply immersed in the book that we're going to be using called Overcoming Under-Earning. And I was reviewing it this morning, and there was a couple quotes that I wrote down that I'm going to share. Let's see. So, man, meaning a human, man's main task in life is to give birth to himself, to become what he potentially is, or she, or them. Man's main task in life is to give birth to himself, to become what he potentially is. Does that resonate with y'all? Life is not about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. Most of us have heard that one. And in conversations with God, it deeply reiterates that. And I'll be going live later this week. We're going to dive back into that. I was reading that this morning, and it's saying the same thing. Yep. So on this journey of becoming that we're all on, for me, looking back 10 years ago, landing in Bali, bless my little heart. And welcome everyone, and thank you, Angela, Nikki, Jamie, EJ, Joe. Appreciate you all being here. Monica. Yes. So are we going to allow ourselves, like create ourselves by default or design? Are we going to just allow things to happen and be at the effect of that? Or are we going to be at the cause of our creation? Yes, Laura. So I was 37. And for me personally, like what I've noticed on my own journey is I'll have periods of conscious creation of myself and then periods where I, two steps forward, one step back into allowing myself to be at the victim of my circumstances, I guess you could say, reacting instead of responding to life, instead of creating. And, it's a journey, it's an upward spiral. It is what it is, and there's always more. Abraham says we can't get it wrong and we'll never get it done. So, yeah. Thank you, Monica. So, and y'all that were here for one of my lives where I was sharing more of like my personal journey, was it? Can't remember which one it was, but I was very transparent in sharing. Oh, I think it was my like my expat anniversary, which was over 11 years ago now. And I shared how I got here, and I shared that I had an affair on my husband, and I shared that I, the person that I had the affair with moved back to South Korea, and I moved and left everything to be with this person and, be in a relationship. So that fits into this story because living in Korea, I had to leave the country every 3 months for my visa. And so, over 10 years ago, it was time for me to take another trip. And due to another cool synchronicity of like meeting some people in Cambodia at my 15-year AA anniversary meeting, and they were like, one was going to Bali, one was in love with Bali, and they're like, come to Bali. And so I'm like, okay, that'll be my next visa. We call it visa run. That'll be my next visa run trip. And so, that's what I was like, where I was coming from. I had left everything I had ever known, moved across the world to, start a new life and a new relationship with this person. And I lived in Korea over a year. And I could talk. That's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go into that. Where I want to go is into, me coming here. And just to show you like where I was at in my life. I was working in my job that, was online, and y'all have heard that story. And yeah, so I planned to come to Bali for 5 weeks. And I was going to do my first week at a silent meditation retreat. So I was already into this stuff. I mean, I was already into spirituality and all of that, prayer and meditation. And because of my background in 12-step, of which y'all know, it's been 25 years. So yeah, so I planned to be here for 5 weeks. And something happened that really influenced the next course of events for me, which was that when I got on the plane to come here, I had almost a panic attack. I mean, I don't know. It was a very high anxiety attack / panic. It doesn't matter. It was terrifying and unexpected and out of nowhere. And, I haven't told many people that because there's a sense of shame around it. And also, like, I hate that happened. And also, it's a really instrumental part of this Bali journey, because that happened on my way to Bali, and it was so impactful that when I got here, I'm like, I ain't going on no damn plane for a long ass time, was my thinking. And so I just couldn't fathom doing that. So that incident really influenced me once I landed here, and that I was supposed to be here for 5 weeks. I had a round trip ticket. So I landed here in Bali. I went on this amazing silent retreat 10 years ago this morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. in this like amazing little place on rice fields in the middle of nowhere in Bali. 6 a.m. I hear this ethereal, otherworldly, tribal voice and sounds and music I'd never heard before in my life. I'd never heard anything like it ever. And I was just like, what? Where am I? What is this? It was just this magical sound. And I'm like, this place, I don't even know, like, this place is magical. And come to find out later, and there's thousands of temples all over the island, and 3 times a day at 6 a.m., noon, and 6 p.m. they play this recording of the Balinese Gayatri mantra. Of course, I didn't know any of that then, but I feel like that was like the activation for this magical journey. And it's so funny, this morning where I'm living now, I'm near enough to the temple where I can hear that. And I heard that this morning at 6 a.m. and just was like, wow, like 10 years, like the brevity of that time and where I am now and who I've become. So I came after that to Ubud, Bali, which is the spiritual center of Bali, or, the popular spiritual center. And I got immersed in the fellowship, the 12-step fellowship here, which is, I'm here now again. And once I found that fellowship, I was just like, I don't want to leave. It's so amazing being here. In addition to, I don't want to get on a plane for as long as possible. That I just made the decision that I'm not going back to Korea. I said I can't go back in my head. Of course, I had choice. But it took me, like, after 2 weeks, I was like, I knew 100% I'm not going back. And I've never been back to Korea since, actually. So, even that is an example of living true to myself. And sometimes we talk about the top 5 regrets of the dying here, and I've done live streams on that before. And the number 1 regret is, I wish I would have lived a life true to me rather than a life others expected of me. Something like that. I wish I would have lived a life true to me rather than a life others expected of me. And if I would have done that, I would have never left my husband. I would have stayed. And also many other examples. Like, think about your own life. Where in your life have you had a moment where you could have stayed to placate other people's expectations, and you chose to live a life true to yourself, or the opposite? I'm sure most of us have examples of both sides of those. So for me in that moment, also with like returning to Korea in that life with that person, I wasn't willing to do that. What was within me was so strong and powerful, and Bali was embracing me and nurturing me and healing me so much that I just was like, I told myself I can't go back. So I canceled my ticket. And I stayed. I did not leave Ubud, Bali for like 15 months. So that was my introduction to Bali. Thank you, Deb. Hi, Alok. Yeah, so I mean, this is an invitation. I'm not here to just like share a story just to share a story. My intention is that it inspire you, it motivate you to reflect on yourself and your own life and take the themes of what I'm talking about and reflect for yourself. And if something touches you, if something comes up in your mind where like, oh wow, I did that, or I'm doing that, or I need to do that, or I wish I did that, or I could do this or that, like what are those things? And then what do you want to do about it? As we said in the beginning, like life is a process of creation. Who do you want to create yourself to be? Who do you want to become? And we do that with, our actions, our state of being, our energy. And the good thing, about my story is that I wasn't perfect, and it wasn't just this upward journey. It was, very varied. It was very up and down. I did things where I wasn't true to myself. I did things where I was. Ooh, that's an awesome quote. Hi, Kat. Thanks, Alok, for your... Yeah, I mean, the visa thing, yeah, there's different scenarios and circumstances with that. What a great quote. Do not give up all of yourself to become part of someone else. Ooh. And honestly, me with, the part of the story I shared about leaving everything to be with this person, I did that. And that's okay. It's part of the journey. And it is what it is. So, yeah. I mean, I could talk about the beauty of Bali, what I love about it. Y'all have heard me talk about that before. Did I say hi to Tony? I'm not sure. Thank you, Monica. So, yeah, I mean, since that time, if we want to look at like three-dimensional stuff, like I was working at this job that I had for 12 and a half years, and y'all know how that ended years after, me coming to Bali. I meditated every day. I was addicted to sugar, which that's been an up and down journey. And congrats to Britt for being sugar free and being on this journey. But yeah, I mean, and I'm going to actually tomorrow in my live stream, I'm going to talk about this, sort of my tarot journey. So, and we're going to be learning some basics of tarot oracle card readings. If you want to join in for that, it'll be fun. And I'm sure I'll do a reading as part of it, a collective reading. But yeah, like 9 years ago here in Ubud, I also started doing tarot. Actually also being here in Ubud, I rediscovered Reiki and energy healing. And yeah, that's a whole other part of the journey. And now I'm a Reiki Master Teacher. So much breath work, so much sound healing, so much sound baths. Um, yeah. Just so much knowledge, so much information, so much evolving, becoming, unbecoming. I mean, I think I shared too in my other live about what happened 9 years ago here, where I got bitten by a dog on my face and I had to have emergency plastic surgery. I have permanent scars right here that I don't ever really notice it, but if I choose to focus on it, I can see very clearly, and remember that experience, which caused me to leave Bali for 2.5 years. Thank you, Kat. Yeah, I mean, visas are a part of living this lifestyle. I'm an American. I didn't understand about how amazing our passport is until, recent years. And also, I've spent a lot of time in India, and I have a 5-year visa for India, which is amazing. So, yeah, things to consider there. Hi, Liz. Thank you. Linda. Hello, Ginger. Thank you. So, JE, just briefly, the sugar part for me. Yeah, I don't eat cookies, candies, cakes, ice creams, like anything like that. Basically, I only eat fruit. So that's what that means for me. Um, I do help people with getting over sugar addiction in one-on-one coaching. So, and if you are new to me, I haven't said this already, but please give me a follow here on Insight Timer. Give a donation if you'd like. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Check out my website. I mentioned my money mindset program starting June 1st if you're ready to up-level your financial life. And I do work with people one-on-one. I'm a Reiki Master Teacher. I do Reiki and Ancestral one-on-one sessions and one-on-one tarot sessions. So yeah. So I'm just kind of like feeling into, where to take the rest of our live stream. What's coming up for y'all? For me, Bali has not been an easy place to live. And even now, like, my good friend, and I've had so many friends visit me here. It's been amazing. And one of my favorite things is to share the magic of Bali with others. And I actually do offer that as well as a one-on-one bespoke program if you want to come and experience here with me. Send me a message as well. But yeah, it's not been easy. But yeah, so my good friend Alicia Bliss, fellow Insight Timer teacher, she also mentioned there's like a heaviness, especially in Ubud. Bali is on some sort of like energy lines, I'm sure. It's called the Island of the Gods. The people, the culture, the intention, their commitment to their spirituality and their religion. They are Hindu here. They are like worship nature. So they're like animistic. It's a mix. It's this beautiful mix of Hindu and animism. Um, it's magic here. Now, so it's intense here. So it can be extremes on either side. And I've experienced both, as I told you. I mean, this dog bite was on the one extreme, and on the other extreme, I've had many amazing, beautiful, and spiritual experiences here, alone and with others. Um, so it's magic, and it brings up your shit. Like, it totally brings it up. So my conclusion is, my sense is that whatever you've got going on, like whatever is in the shadow that needs to come out, Bali will sometimes force that or allow that or open that to come out. Or if you're doing fucking amazing in your life and you come here, then it's just going to amplify that. So it really just kind of amplifies whatever's here, as well as like clears and heals and cleanses whatever's here. Yeah, Kat, India for sure. Like, India and Bali are intrinsically linked, because of, I would say the Hinduism aspect. Um, so, and I think too, and I think it was Ginger that brought it up in the live yesterday about like the space weather, like this week. I think part of it is that as well for me. And also, I feel like it's just Bali. Um, one common thing that people that stay around here a while know is that like Bali will either embrace you and take you in, or it will totally spit you out. Like, even tourists, it can happen. Like, weird stuff happens here. I mean, even like this dog bite, like, um, and for me, that story I just told of me landing here in Bali 10 years ago, and it embraced me. It embraced me until it spit me out with the dog bite that happened like 15 months later. But for me, um, I know I created that, and I do believe, like, in an absolute sense, we do create our reality and we do create everything we experience. And so, yes, I created it, and also it's like my energy was shit at that time. Like, I was not doing well. I was not doing things that were good for me. I was doing, like, I was really out of integrity in one aspect of my life at that time, and my energy, I just was very low vibrational. So it made sense in that way that I would have created this, and then, Bali wanted me out. So, yeah. So the healthcare system, I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, what do you want to know? It's cheap. Compare it for Americans. Um, so actually, in along with the dog bite, that's a good question, because if I would have been in the West and this dog bite happened, I would have been in emergency surgery in 30 minutes or an hour max. But because I was in Bali, it took 13 hours. Part of that was like bad healthcare advice from a nurse, added 9 hours to it. But yeah, the infrastructure here is not good. The infrastructure here is horrible, actually. So, but I'm not coming on here to complain about Bali. Angela, you might want to come. Awesome. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do is share the magic of Bali with people. And I'm going back, and as I said, I'm going to create a post or a reel or something of like Bali memories, and just so many people I've connected with here. So many people have visited me here. Yeah, I'm so grateful and I love sharing it. Thank you, Deb. Um, and yeah, I appreciate that acknowledgement, Ginger. I went back after the dog bite. Yes. To me, it was like a horrible breakup when that happened. And I left Bali for 2.5 years, and it was just like, I want to go back. I miss it so much, you know. So it was a big deal for me to return to Bali after 2.5 years. I lived in the US for 11 months, got my shit together, found Joe Dispenza, started doing his meditation, started creating myself, coming from a place of creation instead of like being at default. Um, yeah, so even that, it was another gift. Um, yeah, the culture here is my favorite culture on the planet. I mean, I haven't met every culture, but I love everything about who they are and what they do. They're the friendliest, kindest, most accommodating hosts of any, and I haven't been many places, but of the places I've been, hands down. Not every single person, of course. But Joe, you're here in 3 weeks. Yes. I'm actually I have to leave for a bit and I don't know how long because of my visa. So I'm leaving in a few weeks. Send me a message, send me a private message. Let's connect about that and see what we can create. I would love it. I love meeting people here. Um, yeah. So yeah, I love the culture. I love the ceremonies. They're constantly in ceremony, and there's so much in integrity with their beliefs and their commitment to their culture and their religion that they let nothing interfere with that. Like they will close off, entire, like the main roads. They will turn off the power, like to do these ceremonies. It just happened a month ago. There was a cremation ceremony. I mean, that's a whole other thing. The way they deal with everything, and especially like death. I love it so much. How the ceremonies around that. Um, but there was this big cremation ceremony for the king, one of the king family members, or king in Ubud. And they spent a month building this huge tower. It's like 30 feet tall. I mean, it's so big. And they have this ceremony. They blocked off the main road here, or probably more than one. They had to remove power lines because this thing was so high. And they just, there's hundreds of people involved. It's, it costs a lot of money. Like, yeah. And it's not all ideal. Like, it's kind of like how we can do with anything. We can idealize people. It's not all sunshine and roses here, believe me. And, there's problems with them, turning a blind eye to stuff and just being like keeping the ceremonies priority. Like, it's not black and white. But from, just from a very simple perspective, it's amazing that they do that. They have so when a baby is born, the baby cannot touch the ground for 3 months. So, and then at 3 months, they have a very special ceremony where, they do a whole thing and then they put the baby's foot on the ground for the first time. Like, they just have so many things. There's white magic here, there's black magic here. There's, there's a light side and a dark side, just like everywhere. We can't have one without the other. Yeah. So, and I've experienced it all, and I'm still here. I feel like Bali chooses you, and it might be just for a vacation. I mean, to even come at all in your lifetime is an opportunity and a blessing. And then some, it's back and forth. I haven't been here for 10 years straight by any means, of course not. But I will always come back here. This will always be a home of some kind. I think the longest I've been gone was 3 years during COVID when I was in Thailand. Yeah. Hi, Dawn. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, so they have Indonesian food here, Balinese food. Of course, it's rice-based, meat and vegetables. Some, so it's not necessarily Balinese, but it's Indonesian. Like satay, I think, was invented here. Tempeh was invented here. They use peanut sauces. Like, that's kind of a big thing. Yeah. So Laura, they are Hindu. So it's the Hindu gods and goddesses. They have somewhat different names for them sometimes. And also they worship nature. So they have a regard to nature, to trees. They give offerings 3 times a day. Like, they're constantly, and if you come here, you'll see on the ground everywhere are these, they're called chanang, these little offerings, and they have like little bits of, different colored flowers. They have this little grassy thing in there. Sometimes they put a cracker in there. Sometimes they put a cigarette in there for the gods. Like, but 3 times a day, and even in the grocery store, by the cashier, they have a place where they put these offerings, and they put a stick of lit incense, and they usually put a piece of candy. And so you'll see it. They do it everywhere. They do it in the coffee shops, in the grocery stores, in legal offices, like in courtrooms, I assume, like everywhere. And when they do this, they will put on either a sash or a sarong, and they will go around, and they have a bunch of lit incense sticks. They have a big pile of these offerings, and they put them different places because the directions are very big here, like north, south, east, west, etc. is very important. They sleep with their feet or their head towards Mount Agong. So that's a whole other thing. But yeah, you'll see them. And they have a frangipani flower. Y'all know my favorite flower. And they have a holy water. And so even at the grocery store register, they'll put the thing down. They will do a little prayer. They'll close their eyes and they'll, do the holy water and pray and put the incense stick down and put the offering down. Like, it's amazing. So, speaking of nature worship, they worship the biggest volcano here. It's called Mount Agung. And so, and their places where they live, we call them like compounds, Balinese compound. And I live behind one. Y'all maybe heard me talk about that yesterday. So even the family compound is, there's a map to it, and every compound has the same setup as far as and they all have a family temple, and like the family temple is like takes up a huge amount of the square meters or square footage of the place. And they have a kitchen is going to be like at the east, or I don't know what it is, but like they have the kitchen in a certain place in a certain direction. They have the bedrooms, they have the temple in a certain area, and they're supposed to sleep with their feet or their head like pointing to Mount Agung. So they're very much in sync with the nature here, and yeah, I love it. It's amazing. And the other thing that I love about it is too, they welcome everyone in to their lives and their ceremonies. Like when I was in India, earlier this year, y'all know I was in Tiruvannamalai, and there's a very holy temple there, and I had this Indian friend, and they knew people. They were well connected with the government, the heads of the government there in that city, and my friend came down to visit and pick us up and take us back to his city, Hyderabad. And so he's like, we're going to go to this very famous temple. He'd never been. And he's like, y'all can come, me and my friend Alicia. But then the day before that, he was like, oh, I'm so sorry, you're not allowed to come in. Like this special VIP area they were going to go in. It's like, you can't go there. You're a foreigner. You're not allowed in. And that's fine, and I respect that. And just to say, like, the Balinese don't have that. Like, you'll see them in ceremony down the street. You'll see them. Sometimes there'll be like this huge intersection, crazy with traffic. There's like a shrine in the middle of it. And I have seen in the middle of like a million motorbikes everywhere, they will have like a mat and a priest sat down, and they will have this whole offering spread right in the middle of the intersection. Like, and then there will be police like navigate, because they respect and they support them doing that. So you're always so welcome. They want you to respect that you wear the right clothes, which is normal. But yeah, you can, usually be invited in, the big ceremonies. I've partaken in many. So they have priests here. And yes, Kat, if you're on your period, no, that's a typical thing. JE, are there many North Americans? There's some, yes. There's definitely a number, and also Australians would make up the most because we're so close to Australia. So, yeah, you're welcome to come in. Oh yeah, so, and they do have a caste system here like India, but it's not so stringent. I mean, sometimes families want you to marry into the caste, but it's not like India with that. And also arranged marriages, I don't think they really have that. Maybe with like super high level families, they might still do that. But it's more symbolic now, all of that. They do have a priest caste. So the priest is the highest caste. And, they are the intermediary between the people and the gods. So, they communicate on behalf of the people to the gods. And then they also have shamans here called Balian. I didn't know until like a year ago that was two different things. I thought the priest was the shaman, but no, they're very separate. So, yeah, there's so many Balinese healers here. And there's some very powerful people and energies here. And yeah, I mean, it's a thing. Yes, eat, pray, love. Thank you, Patriot Lady. So, yeah, you can see like this is the main thing. And it's a beautiful island. I mean, the other thing, it's spectacular. If you follow me on Facebook, Instagram. So, yeah, Kat, my name is my Instagram and my everything is the same. Except I put my middle initial M as in Marie. So, Natalie M. Speakman. So, yeah, if anybody cares to follow me, I would appreciate that. And then, yeah, I share pics and stories and things and um, inspiration. And, just to show what's possible for you. Yeah, put the M in there, Kat. And you should find it. Hi, Faye. And so, yeah, I mean, in wrapping up, it's like, I mean, I knew nothing about this place. And I speak Indonesian now, so that's something that's happened as well. Um, I speak Indonesian. I speak a little Balinese. So there's Indonesian and Balinese. So Indonesian is the national language for the country of Indonesia. So and Indonesia is a country of islands. So, that's their uniting language. And also every island and even within the islands have their own dialects. So Balinese is a separate language. It has a lot of similarities, but I do speak a little Balinese, but not much. But it's the funnest thing. Like, I love speaking the language because, especially if it's unexpected and they're like, oh, you can speak. And they always say, they use this word, pintar, which means like smart. Oh, you're smart with your language. And I'm like, no, not yet. Ugly. So they use a word ugly that translates to ugly. Like, no, still ugly language, still learning. Yeah, so maybe this motivates some of you to come. Yeah, there's this amazing water purification ceremony. I always take my friends and people that come to. Yeah, that's beautiful. Somebody that I'm very close with just visited and we did that, and it was an amazing experience. As it is every time. You go under a waterfall, you pray first with the priest and you set these intentions and you get blessings, and then you go under this waterfall and you drink the water like, oh my God. You actually drink water out of like a creek. I mean, it's a huge waterfall, so it's very much running water, but still, you can probably imagine the first time they were like, so you do like, I think it's 11 or 13 times over the head. Um, you, you spit out, you spit out the water like 13 times and then you drink 13. Oh, for like a couple days after the first time I did that, I was like, I'm going to be so sick. I'm going to get some sort of waterborne illness, but I didn't. I mean, because it's just the water it's clear. It's a little bit more in the mountains. It never stops flowing. It's a very strong flow. But yeah, and then you like, you release energetically what no longer serves you. And then you have your intentions and yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, the beaches, there's volcanoes here. There's rice fields, 2,000-year-old rice fields. And also, I mean, there's problems, as I said. It's a shit show. The infrastructure can't support the tourism. A lot of people say it's ruined. It is what it is. You can decide for yourself. All of Bali is not. There's parts of Bali that are very remote, very nature, very beautiful, very untouched. And there's parts that it's just concrete and hotels and nightclubs and all of that. It's all of it. So everything is here. Yeah. And actually, I am going to go in a few minutes because I'm having a cool, fun experience. I'm driving to the south where all the shit is. um, and I say that, somewhat lovingly, but, it does get more diluted. Like the friendliness, the culture, it's still there. And also it's very diluted in the south. And the south is where all the tourism is, most all of it. You know, there's shops and malls and beach clubs, and I love all that stuff too, and it is what it is. So, but I'm going down there to meet somebody that I've met through Facebook who is in my coaching realms. As far as y'all know, my favorite coach, Steve Hardison, if you follow me. And if you don't know, I am also a coach. Um, and this person has had like coaching from Steve Hardison, and I met Steve Hardison in India, um, so we're gonna have a nice lunch together, and that'll just be super fun. um, the magic of social media is amazing, which, you know people say otherwise. Again, it's nothing is all 100% good or bad. Nothing is good or bad anyway. But if you're coming from a value judgment of good and bad, there is nothing that's good and bad. There's just things. There's many positive things about social media, and yes, sure, there's negative. There's many amazing things about Bali, and yes, sure, the tourism and etc. and the problems, and there's all that stuff too. It's like the yin and yang symbol. The black exists within the white, within the black. It's relating. If you come to my conversations with God live streams, it talks about that. You know, we've got to have that relationship. You have to have darkness to have light. So everything's the same. And yes, I drive on my motorbike. That's part of my I could talk for an hour about my love for driving motorbikes in Asia. It's my favorite thing. I love listening to music, singing on my motorbike. People turn around and look at me. I did cat. Where in India are you, by the way? I've been there this year. I was in Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu. I was in Pondicherry. I think that's it. I was in Sri Lanka a couple times, going back there also again soon. And yes, I did drive motorbike in Tiru and Pondi. Okay, nice. I've heard of that, but honestly, it's vague. Is it up in the north somewhere? Um, oh, awesome. I'm glad to connect with you. Hi, Vicky. So, speaking of that, like, it's going to probably, okay, for context, for like, as far as infrastructure here, just to give you an idea, because I pulled up, like, how long it's going to take me to drive down there. Um, and if you do know, um, Bali at all, you probably have heard of the hip, trendy area, Canggu. Like, that's where all the hippest people are. So I'm going to be going to Canggu. So it's 33 kilometers. For Americans, I know that's meaningless. For me, I've been in Asia so long, like, I know what that means, but I can't even put it into miles anymore. Maybe like, about half. 33 kilometers is going to take me an hour and 15 minutes on the motorbike. And that's faster than a car, because on the bike, you can go around the cars. For a car, it takes an hour and 30 minutes to go 33 kilometers. So this is the traffic. The traffic, I would say, is the worst. But again, it's just like it is. It like we can bring in Michael Singer in any spiritual practice. It is what it is. It does no good for me to complain about it. It's just, it is. I mean, y'all that live in, I think of LA, like I lived there, like traffic is just, it's just there. You just factor that in. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm factoring it in that it's going to take me an hour and a half to get there. And so that means I need to leave right now. So, cat, buying this. In India, they don't call it a motorbike. That's a Bali thing. They call it a scooter. Yeah, moped. So thank you for joining me for this Love of Bali live stream in the 10 years. And I shared a bit of my story, and then I shared a bit of my love. So, yeah, I mean, if you're hearing this, perhaps this is your call. Perhaps this is your call to come to Bali. Seriously. If you feel that. Thank you, Wendy. Nice to see you. Angela mentioned, and Britt, I know, has mentioned it. Like I told you, like I had a call, my 15-year AA anniversary, on a rooftop AA meeting in Cambodia. I received my call. And luckily for me, it was quite easy because I was living in Asia, but still, and then here I am. So, yeah, I love it. And maybe this is for you. It might not be Bali for you. It might be something else, but just whatever you hear in this message. I know I talked about creating yourself. I talked about the journey of becoming, use what you've heard today to take it forward with you and do something, like reflect deeper. What is the message here for you? And I think too, one of my messages for me personally is to release shame and judgment and guilt around choices I've made in my story. Because if you were here in the beginning, you heard me say I cheated on my husband, I had an affair, and that's how I left the US and then was in Korea and then came here. So, and then there's a lot of stuff. Life has lifed, and I have done things and not done things, and been a human and been a messy human, as we all are. And it's okay. And I also do my live streams on this book we're going through called There's Nothing Wrong With You. And I do that because it so resonates with me. So, awesome. Hi, Rose. Patriot Ladies, Feeling a Move. Angela. Joe Dispenza. I just posted Joe Dispenza on my story. So, yeah. Hi, Seeds. Good to see you. Okay, I'm gonna go. If I've gotta jump on my bike and get down to lunch. So I will see you all tomorrow in about 24 hours for tarot, which I'll probably share my bit of my tarot beginning here in Bali as well. So thank you. In Bali, in Indonesian, when you leave, you say hati hati, HITI, hati hati. It means be careful. Hati also means heart. So I love that. So it's like heart, literally, but hati hati means be careful. So thank you. Yeah, if you follow me, you'll get notified. Thank you, Jane, Wendy, Amy, Rose. And it's in 24 hours. So if you go on my profile, follow me, there's events. You can click RSVP. Please do that. And I will see you all tomorrow. Much love from Bali. So when they greet, the traditional Balinese greeting is Om Swastiatsu. And I can, Om Swastiastu. is hello, and their goodbye is Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, Om Shanti from Bali. Bye bye.